Indianapolis, Indiana. I am at the John Wayne's Pub for the Midwest Bar Box Championships, I think is what it's called. I'm here with Shane McMinn. If you guys don't know who Shane McMinn is, you must be living under a rock. This guy's incredible, incredible player, all around phenomenal human being. I'm going to turn this around and let you guys get a little bit of information from Shane and talk about a couple of things, who he is as a person, and also what he thinks about the Mosconi Cup picks this year. Hi Shane, how are you today?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. So, question.
Yeah.
What is the most recent tournament that you've been in that was your most challenging?
Oh, right now this one's pretty challenging. I've already lost my first match. So I got to go through the loser side.
Oh, well, come on. You've got this all day long.
Last weekend there was a real hard one with all the Filipinos in it, and but I was so tired from gambling all night.
Oh, my goodness. Hopefully you cashed out some good money that time.
I did okay.
You did okay. We're going to go back in time just a little bit. Could you give us a little bit of background on who is Shane McMinn? How old were you when you first started playing pool, Shane?
I first started hitting the balls around whenever I was 9, but I first started competing really hard whenever just before I turned 12.
Just before you turned 12. That's pretty tough. You were pretty young. You're out there with the big guys in the pool rooms.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Did you have any influential people in your life that kept you on the straight and narrow to keep going when you felt like giving up?
A lot of people in my life that helped me keep going. People that were real close to me, older fellers back in the day.
Right.
Pool players, Jeremy Jones, my buddy John Gabriel. Other people that you wouldn't know their names. They've already passed by now.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have any particular player that was the toughest? And while you were a junior player, mind you, because I heard some stories about you and Chip and Joey going at it.
Yeah, well, I started it quite a little bit before them, Chip and Joey.
Right.
For me, Johnny Archer was really hard. I had a really big mental block against him because growing up, before I started playing, he was the first guy I watched play on TV. And so the first few times I played it, I just couldn't play my game against him. And he seemed to beat me the first 4 or 5 times I beat him. But as soon as I did beat him, it was kind of like breaking the wall down. I beat him quite a few times after that.
Right, it's like opening a giant Christmas present.
Yeah. Broke right through.
Right.
Yeah.
The Filipinos are still like going headstrong here in the United States. Right now, we have Dennis playing Jason Shaw. And from what I understand, it's pretty close. How do you feel like you fare against some of these Filipinos?
On these tournaments and small races, I think I can beat them just as often as they beat me. Dennis, it seems like I could never beat that guy. He always comes with something magical there towards the end. He's phenomenal.
Right.
As far as Jason and Dennis playing, I have to like Dennis. I mean, he's just such a great money player. He grinds it out. He can make a comeback from anywhere.
Almost robotic.
Robotic, almost. Jason's an incredible player, too. But
yes, absolutely.
I just like Dennis.
Just like Dennis and that. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I also noticed that you had an extensive tour growing up. You went to several different countries. What was the one country that you went to that you placed the highest that is your most memorable tournament as a junior player?
I probably would have been the first one that I went to whenever I was 15. I was the youngest person there, 19 or younger. And in Alicante, Spain. It's right off the Mediterranean Sea. It was beautiful.
I bet.
And I got 3rd place, won the silver. That was probably my funnest.
I think you're probably one of the most decorated junior players we have in the United States. Am I right?
As far as the junior nationals go, I have a pretty outstanding record. I won the junior nationals whenever I was 14 in the 14 and under, and then in the 18 under division, I won it whenever I was the youngest one there, 15, and then I was 16, and then 17.
Do you have any advice for some of these up-and-coming junior players? I have a couple of junior players that I've been helping out in the Mississippi area, and they're curious what tournaments are the best ones for them to pick up as they're gaining momentum into going into the pro status?
What are the best games?
What are the best tournaments for your junior players to get into as they're branching off into the pro circuit?
I think that's kind of a hard balance between accessibility and financial and competition.
Right.
You want to keep yourself as competitive as possible, but at the same time, the financial ability to be able to go to some of the big competition tournaments is, you've got to kind of balance it out. The important thing is you stay in competition, you do it as much as possible, and you stay smart about it. Don't wear yourself out going and playing in big pro tournaments.
Fantastic. Yeah. Awesome. Let's see. What is your favorite game right now? I've watched you play 9-ball, 10-ball, one pocket. I don't think there's one thing I've not seen you play a lot of. The only thing I believe I've not seen you play a lot of is 14.1.
Well, I hate 14.1.
Well, that answers the question.
Yeah. My favorite game is bumper pool.
Really?
Yeah, it's an incredible amount of fun. It is so much fun. And then billiards is probably my second favorite to play. And I'm probably not even very good at either one of them, but it is incredibly fun. Besides that, competition-wise, I'd have to say, 10-ball.
10-ball.
For sure, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the big thing going on right now, everybody's talking about it, the Mosconi Cup pick. What do you have any, I don't even know how to word it. When I first heard it, I'm not saying anything bad about Mr. Strickland. I am one big-time Earl Strickland fan. I love the man to death. But the United States people are scratching their heads as to how Mr. Strickland got on the Mosconi Cup team when so many others were overlooked.
Well, I'll tell you what.
What is your opinion on that?
Earl Strickland's a legend, and he's a great player still today. He would say that pool is a beautiful game played by ugly people, but I think he has got a beautiful game played with an ugly attitude. He's rude to his opponents. He's rude to his teammates. He's rude to the fans. He talks when he's shooting. He talks when you're shooting. He slams stuff, throws stuff, breaks stuff, and then he wants to fight you if you beat him. And the problem is that's really entertaining, right? And so that sells seats. That's why he was picked. And I don't blame him, because I have a great hell of a time watching him play because it's so entertaining. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. He's a great player. He's worked hard. He's a legend. But he's good TV. And I think that basically that is the way that they're going about picking. I think it's very political. It's a popularity contest, Emily Fraser, who does she like? Who does Shane Van Boden like? If you're not likable, then you're not going to be on the team. If you're not skinny, you're not going to be on the team. All that they want is America to play just good enough to make it till the last day of the competition so they can fill out all the seats for the entire event, the entire time. That's all they care about. And if she don't like you, if Emily don't like you, if Shane don't like you, you might as well go back home, lose some weight, come back next year. Because you're toast.
Wow. I thought that all of the picks had a set schedule that you guys have to go through certain tournaments, like a points, like the Europeans. I was assuming that that's how the United States pick their players as well.
I'm not sure what the Europeans do, but evidently, they're obviously much more structured than we are. Whenever Johan, European man, was the coach, it was a lot more structured. There was boot camps and things. Still very political. Still very much popularity contest. They basically pick who they like. No, I'm not dogging any of the players. Like, I love Skyler. I absolutely love Billy. I absolutely, Chris Reinhold's a great person. I'd swim through a river of urine to get to play him some pool for money if he wanted to play. You know what I mean? And Tyler, too, if he didn't have that big break. But they're great people, and they deserve it as much as anyone.
Right.
The problem is that there's so many people out there that work every bit as way harder that's been out there. Jeremy Sosa, he deserves his chance. You know what I mean? The list goes on and on and on.
Right.
I just think that it's about who they like and about who's good for the camera, who's going to help sell seats, who does America like.
Well, you left me speechless there, Shane.
Jeremy Jones, great friend of mine. I think, all the players, they've worked hard, they've earned it, especially Shane. Shane works as hard as anybody. Jeremy Jones, they're all trying to do the best for pool. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But to promote, to do the best for pool, you got to sell seats. You've got to get the crowd into it.
Unfortunately, that's what pool has come to. It's come to theatrics.
Yeah, that's what it is about.
Who's going to put the money? Who's going to put the butts
money.
in the seat?
And that's right. And without exposure, that isn't going to happen. And that's the frame of thinking about it. It's not necessarily wrong. It's just not to the point to where we can make it structured, go by strict point events. Because what happens if the fat guy's talking points? They ain't going to like that. You know what I mean? They ain't going to be having that. So they just want to get the fans in, and the fans included, and they want to fill the seats, and they want to get people to love pool. That way they can get more money into it.
Right.
And the game will get better in the future.
So do you think this year might actually turn some heads and we might be able to see an uplift in some of the tournaments? From the issues is there's just not enough money to go around. There's not enough meat on the bone from what I'm hearing.
Well, there's not a lack of tournaments. There's an abundance of tournaments. You don't have any problem finding a tournament to go to. There's so many tournaments. People are scheduling tournaments on top of each other.
Right.
I don't really think that that's the issue. And it's hard for me to say what the issue is whenever it comes to that point. I mean, of course, there's sponsorship. There's better money added. Money needs to probably come from generate in a different way for different people.
Right.
And like live stream, the money that's getting paid, the revenue. I mean, in a perfect world, like baseball, I mean, either the players would be getting a salary or the pool players would be getting a piece of that money.
Right.
But instead, each pool player is trying to have to sacrifice morals for the chance to and the ability to make money, and it's putting everybody in a difficult position.
I understand.
And until there's more money into it, that we can have the luxury to go and do what we want for what we want, pool's going to suffer.
I agree.
But I mean, there's great future players coming, and it's really about the next generation, and I think we're headed in the right direction at least.
I've been a big supporter of Joey Gray and what he's doing with the kids, working with the junior players, trying to get them a little more motivated. Do you think that we need more people like that helping the juniors cultivate their craft in order to get to the pro level, and we have a new generation of players with a different moral setting?
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. But I think, kids need to be careful about separating who they admire from who they should hang out with.
Right.
Putting their life first and being smart about what they sacrifice for pool, because you got to sacrifice a lot in your life to play the game.
Yes.
And in the future generation, I think kids are going to play better and be better off in the future if they're more well balanced with the way that they play the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not going out and hanging with bad crowds and getting into bad habits. And I think we're on the right direction. Dee Atkins is doing a lot of awesome things with juniors.
Yes.
I think that's one of the most positive things that we have going on.
Personally, I don't think the juniors have enough tournaments to go to. That's a lot of the issue. Did you run into the same problem as a junior player when you were coming up?
Well, whenever I was a junior going up, I was a degenerate. I could do anything I wanted at any time, and so I just don't want kids to fall through the same situation.
Do as I say, not as I did.
Well, I didn't much have a choice,
Completely understand that one.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of our players out there want to know, what is in your case, Shane?
So my pool cue?
Yes, sir. What is in your case? What kind of cue do you have?
The best kind of cue that could ever be made from J. Michael Durbin. He's a custom cue maker from Royal, Illinois. It's actually called Sullivan, Illinois. And he's got all the business he wants. He really doesn't charge as much for them. He makes cues from the range from 800 to 10,000. And he's got no problem selling them. And his cues are incredible.
Fantastic.
JB cases are the best cases you can get out there, in my opinion. For the price, durables you can get. I've never been able to hold on to a case for longer than a year without busting through it. But the JB cases I've had for 4 or 5 years, and besides the dirt and smudge on it, it's incredible.
So what's Shane looking at for the new year? What's your plan next year?
On New Year, I just want to kiss a pretty girl.
All right, ladies. It's out there. Shane is single. Any ladies needing a teddy bear, contact me.
I'm going to focus on making money. I'm not really necessarily going to go to tournaments where I have to beat 5 or 10 champions and can still end up getting 3rd place and not making enough money to pay the bill.
Right.
You know what I mean? Derby, great tournament, awesome tournament, but you can get 5th in that tournament, have to beat 75 champions, not make your hotel nut.
Absolutely, been there.
So instead, I'm going to go to easier tournaments where I can go and make money. I mean, I'm at this point, I'm not in it for the pride. I'm in it to make some money. So
you got to do what you got to do to eat, right?
Yeah.
Another question I had: what do you think about these split bracket tournaments that have been heating up the South here lately? Are they hurting you guys? Your profession, you guys are professionals.
Yeah.
Your races are ridiculous. You're 14 having to beat a 2. They go to 2, you go to 14. It's crazy. Are you guys suffering at all because of these tournaments?
I didn't even realize it was a thing until just recently. It hadn't hurt me at all. And now that I know about it, I'm going to try to go to it.
Well, I would look forward to seeing you in Meridian, Mississippi then, Shane.
I think that eventually it's going to die off and it's a fad, but the money's there now, so give it a
right.
shot.
Meridian, Mississippi has been raking in anywhere into $90,000 in prize money.
It's the new White Diamonds.
And it's insane down there.
Yeah.
So I look forward to seeing you grace Meridian.
Yeah, I'm going to try to come. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Shane, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any sponsors that you would like to shout out to while we've got you on YouTube, sir?
Absolutely. Just Jason and Justin Bradley from Wichita, Kansas, Global Collision Centers. They do insurance adjusting and stuff like that. J. Michael Durbin, Durbin Custom Qs, JB Cases. McGoo's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Champs in Wichita, Kansas. Club Billiards in Wichita, Kansas. Steve Wells with High Gear Apparel. And most importantly, Gary Lee Cummings, my main man in the jungle.
Well, Shane, it's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the interview. You're my first YouTube guy, so let's see what we can do with this.
Let's do it.
Well, thank you so much, and good luck in the tournament. Just because you're on the one-loss side doesn't mean anything. I've seen you come down from the bottom to take and snap off a tournament.
It's just another day in the office.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, this has been Tracy with Inside Pool Magazine. Like I said, I was coming to you live from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm going to plug a couple of my sponsors right quick. Steve Ditmar with Poolaholic Gear. Thank you so much for making sure Diva's dressed very well. Also, Enterprise Car Rentals. This girl doesn't go anywhere without calling Enterprise and getting a car so she can get there safely. I'm also staying at the Hilton brand hotels this weekend, so if you guys need a place to stay, shop Hilton brand. They have the best beds ever. Also, a hot breakfast goes in with that. Okay, guys, well, this Diva's got to say goodnight. She's got some things she needs to do, so I appreciate you guys tuning in. Keep vigilant, guys. I'm going to be coming out with a couple more of these, and I'm only going to get better. My next superstar I'll have to track down is CJ Wiley. So if any of my fans out there see CJ, let him know the Diva's coming for him. You guys have a great night, and thank you so much for watching.